Hi, I'm Rachel, and this is my February 2023 book haul. This should be pretty short and sweet. I only have a couple of books to share. Two of them are books I will be reading in the near future, and the third is something a little more special. I've already pretty much read through it, although I feel like it's something I'd be going back to or should go back to. It's a different sort of book. I will get to it. But yeah, let's get started. The first book I have is a top of the Goodreads book called Down Under by Sonia Tates. By top of the Goodreads, I mean that I put this on my Goodreads TBR some of the most long ago time. That's a phrase. But basically now it's at the top of my Goodreads TBR list, and I've made a resolution that it's in the time frame that I want to read from this year. And this is a small press book. So I believe anyway. It is McWitty Press, which I will link down below. And anyway, I know I found this through the Jewish Book Council website. There's some Jewish content in this book. I will read from the back. Down Under is a novel about first love and second chances. A young teen, abused by her conservative father, falls in love with a girl whose parents reject him. Fate takes the boy to Australia, where he becomes an international movie star. Decades later, his career derailed and his mind unraveling, he begins a quest back to the past. The girl he loved is now a middle-aged mother of twin teenage boys, with a long-term marriage in the doldrums. Nostalgia, pain, and fantasy draw them together again in a mating dance that reveals every shade of their folly and hope. So yeah, I would say the Jewish content is not readily apparent in that one, but I know I found it on the Jewish Book Council site. I could see if I can find that information down below as well. And either way, you know, we have drama, nostalgia. I remembered the Australian setting the most. I think maybe less of it takes place in Australia than I thought at first, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see where these middle-aged people, it seems, will go in the present-day storyline. And this next book is Canadian, published by Penguin Random House, Alfred Knopf in Canada. This is Strangers with the Same Dream by Alison Pick. This was the book I chose most recently in my BookTube spin video, the last one I did was back in January. I'll link it down below. This is a game that Rick McDonnell brought to BookTube. It's where you make a list of 20 books, usually divided into categories by whatever means you'd like. That you would like to read, and then you do a spinny thing with a wheel of 20 options, numerical options, and then read the book the wheel lands on. So this is the book that my wheel landed on. So I am hoping to read it this quarter, which is, coming to an end at the end of March. So next month, this should be on my TBR, and I will read from the flap. This beautifully written, shocking, and timely novel whisks us back to 1921, when a band of young Jewish pioneers sets out to realize a dream, the founding of a settlement on a patch of land that would, 25 years later, become Israel. One by one, we enter the minds of three compelling characters: Ida, an idealistic young woman escaping violence brewing in Europe; David, the charismatic and volatile group leader; and Hannah, a wife and mother struggling with her roles, to witness how the utopian dream is punctured by messy human entanglements. This is also the story of the land itself, revealing with compassion and irony how the pioneers chose to ignore the fact that their valley was already home to a people whose lives they did not understand. Writing with restrained power, award-winning novelist Alison Pick creates unforgettable characters who, isolated within their utopian dream, are haunted by ghosts, compromised by secrets, and finally, despite flashes of love and hope, worn down by hardship, human frailty, and the pool of violent confrontation. Her astonishing conclusion forces us to confront the question of what is truly knowable in the human heart. So yeah, this is, I think, a little more bleak even than I would have thought. I mean, I knew the setting, the pre-Israel state 1920s founding of a kibbutz. But yeah, it seems like there's going to be a fair bit of darkness in this book, and it's certainly not going to avoid the issue of of home and ownership and, like, sharing space, as it were. I mean, we talk a little bit in here about at least Ida is referenced as being a refugee of sorts of her own, fleeing from violence in Europe. So yeah, I think it's going to be kind of hard hitting. Definitely the Jewish content is much more on the page in this one. And yeah, I will be reading and reporting back on it next month. And finally, very much staying with Jewish themes, this is called The Siddur of Reentering, which my synagogue recently created, or members of my synagogue came together and collaborated on this Siddur, which is a term I usually associate with a daily prayer book, but it can have a wider meaning, is what I especially learned through the cultivation of this book. And this book is about re-entering the synagogue and Jewish and sacred spaces after the pandemic, or after, the beginning parts of the pandemic, as it were, when we were separated and in quarantine. So this Siddur is a mixture of lots of things. Like, there's quotes from already pre-published materials, and then there's written stuff by members of the community, and also pictures of the community in quarantine. So I'll just go through here a bit, see what I can find. We got here, we have some artwork, and yeah, here's a Zoom class, and there was one of a bar mitzvah, like over Zoom. Let me see if I can find. Yep, here we go. Find that one. And there's older pictures as well from some of these essays, pictures of families impacted by COVID, sometimes through death. I don't know how much I should really be showing. I am remembering that these are personal pictures of my congregants in my synagogue, but I just thought this was such a beautiful project, and it was presented a few weeks ago at this big event, artist event that we had. It was a big concert where I actually sang with the flash choir a few songs, and there were other singers, and there were dancers, and there were actors, and visual artwork as well, people coming together to talk about the cost of in a way, but also some of the gains in community of the pandemic, and especially centering around my synagogue. So actually the concert was live streamed. One of the big things about COVID is the live streaming capabilities at my synagogue really ratcheted up, and so the concert is recorded and available online, so I can post that down below, and they do talk a bit about this Siddur in the concert as well. So yeah, this is just something special that I can have, a testament to this time of life that we all went through generally, and then here's a specific iteration that I'm at least somewhat involved with as a member of this synagogue, and I'm just grateful to have I guess this testament, this this book. I'm very happy about it. And that about covers it for me now. I will leave the Goodreads links for the two traditionally published books down below. That's one of the things about book hauls sometimes, or reading, is that I focus or center so much of my own reading on Goodreads and, writing reviews and things like that. But I don't think I'll be making a Goodreads page for the Siddur of Reentry. I think this will be a more personal or private thing for me, I suppose. I mean, I could, I suppose, but I don't know. I don't have to have everything about my reading life on Goodreads. Although I do appreciate it as a way to track a lot of my reading. But anyway, I hope the rest of you are acquiring and reading great books as we're slowly approaching the end of the month. I will be back for my final Friday Reads video of February in the next few days, so stay tuned for that. Thanks so much for watching, everyone, and I'll see you next time.